Hello family, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me today. So today we are going to talk about 5 secrets to a healthy marriage. Now, legit, they're not secrets because I'm sharing them with you. Anyway, I just want to share with you things that have helped my husband and I in our marriage and also those that we've counseled. Now, disclaimer, I am not a professional counselor. I just happen to have been married for over 20 years, and my husband and I lead a ministry in Kentucky, and so we've got a lot of young couples that have been married, and so we do premarital counseling that way. So this is not a professional opinion. This is a woman that's been married for 20 plus years. So let's get started into what I believe can help you have a healthy marriage. Number 1, communication, communication, communication. Communication is so important for a vital and healthy marriage. So, what does that mean? What is communication? Communication is the exchange of information from one individual to another through words, through symbols, and even body language. What can be a problem with communication? Everybody talks, everybody knows the English language and other languages. So why could there be a problem with communication inside of marriage? Well, let me just say that a lot of times you enter a marriage with 2 completely different cultures and you try to combine those 2 cultures, and what ends up happening is one person is seemingly speaking Spanish while the other is speaking French, and there's no way to understand one another because you've been brought up in a way, it's not wrong, it's not bad, but you've been brought up in a way to communicate a certain way and to value certain things over other things, and your spouse probably has a completely different value system and belief system, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only issue is that you have to learn to take the values that you have from your childhood and from your family that you were raised in, and you have to pull those together with your spouses. And so sometimes that means you have to come to grips with, oh, maybe I was taught the wrong way, or this isn't as important as this is, so we're going to put this out so that we can all be on the same page. So communication is important, and it's important that you communicate openly and that you communicate in a vulnerable way even, because communication creates intimacy, closeness, and friendship. Something that I like to tell our pre-marrieds is, men, when you have a conversation with your wife, is she walking away from this conversation feeling like she's clean? Are your words, are they like water to her? Have you used them in such a way that she feels uplifted and encouraged? Women, that armor that your husband is wearing because he's your knight, is it tarnished because of the things that you've said to him or even said about him to other people? Or are you polishing that armor with your words because you're honoring him through your speech and through your communication? So those are things that I want to just put out there. Think about that. What does it look like when you are having communication or conversations with your spouse? Are you leaving better? Are you leaving hurt? Another thing that I feel like is super important that we've adopted, and it's an idea that we learned from a book called Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk. And I'm going to be making recommendations throughout the whole video, and I'm not sponsored by anyone at all. It's just I believe in these books because they've helped me in my marriage, and they've also helped other people that we've counseled. So back to the thought. Keep Your Love On is an amazing book. It's about relationships in general, but you definitely can use these principles and should use these principles inside the marriage covenant. And one of the things that sticks out to me that I took away from this book is that being connected to my husband is more important to me than being right. What does that mean? That means that I can be in intense fellowship or an argument with my husband, and it's more important for me to stay close to him and be connected to him than it is for me to win the argument or come out on top of the argument. And you know what? There's times that I am right. There are things that he doesn't see properly, or vice versa, and I don't see it the right way. But we have decided to say things like, I'm sorry if there's a miscommunication, or I'm sorry if what I said hurt your feelings. And taking the low road and asking forgiveness and doing that even if you don't feel like that you've done anything wrong, whether you have or haven't. And then it opens the door for a continued healthy conversation. So being connected is more important than being right. Okay. Number 2, learning the language of love that your spouse speaks. So there's another book recommendation that I have right here, and it is Gary Chapman's The 5 Love Languages. Some of you probably have heard of this book. We recommend it because we feel like there could be other ways to give and receive love, but this is pretty conclusive. So what are the 5 love languages? Acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, and quality time. And what we find is that most of the time it's easy for me to know the way that I receive love. Of course, because I like to be loved, right? Everybody likes to be loved. And so I know, oh, okay, I love it when, you know, maybe you brush my hair off my shoulder, or you give me a hug, or whatever. What's important inside marriage is finding out what your spouse needs to receive love. And so it's probably more than likely going to be something completely different than what you'd receive love by. So pick up on things like if you bring your wife flowers, if she lights up, or maybe you wash the dishes for your husband and he thinks that's awesome, or you cook him a meal and he thinks, oh my gosh, she loves me so much. It could be many different things, but pick up on those things. And you know what? There's actually a test that you can take after you read the book. I highly recommend going online and taking the 5 love languages test to figure out what is yours, and that way you can kind of get ahead of the game. So it's important to communicate, number 1. Secondly, it's important to learn the language of love that your spouse needs to receive love. We don't want to be caught in a trap of continuing to give love to our spouse the way that we want to be loved. We need to know how they receive love so that their love tank can be filled. Another book recommendation, His Needs, Her Needs. You can find it on Amazon. It's a great book. I highly recommend that. It helps, especially if you're a pre-married. It really can help you understand marriage relationship and understanding what a man's needs are and a woman's needs are. And they talk about the love tank. So you want to fill your spouse's love tank by speaking their love language. Okay, moving on. A third secret for healthy marriage is understanding this truth. It's not about you. I know that's a hard one. It was hard for me. I had to recognize really quick when I got married that the list of things that I needed my knight in shining armor to come and do and sweep me off my feet was really not his job. And that the reason I got married, while I might have believed something different in the beginning, the real reason we get married is so that we can serve our spouse. And I have made it my goal to make Ryan feel as loved as he possibly can, to feel as supported. I want to blow wind in the dreams that God has given him, and I want to be there for him and make sure that if he has a need, that I'm going to do my best to fulfill it. Now, am I perfect? Of course not. No one's perfect, and there's probably more often that he's doing that for me than I am for him. But it is my goal now, and it's not me thinking that he needs to check all these boxes off that I've made this list of, and realize that partly the reason why I had that list is because I wasn't a whole person, and I had this fairy tale idea of what marriage was. But now I've recognized it is about a covenant relationship in servanthood. So let me just talk about covenant relationship just a little bit. In marriage, you are in covenant. You are not in contract, contrary to popular belief. Contracts are most of the time signed pieces of paper. They're time sensitive, and they are, if you do this, then I will do this. And that is not how you want to live your life, because when you do, you live in contract, there's more opportunity for resentment and bitterness to build because you have unmet expectations or unrealistic expectations for your spouse to meet. And you know what? A third thing, unspoken expectations that you place on your spouse and expect for them to read your mind, which that doesn't happen, so that they know, oh, well, she's going to need this or he needs that. No, that's not how this works. We are not in covenant, or we are in covenant. We are not in a contractual agreement with our spouse. It's not you scratch my back and then I'll scratch yours. What a covenant is it's a commitment to someone for the rest of their life and the rest of your life, and to making them better and committing to see their dreams fulfilled and to love them in such a way, even if they never return that to you. But here, let me let you in on the real secret. When you begin to live your life that way, in any type of relationship, but specifically in the marriage relationship, it is always reciprocated. I remember the time that I was scared to actually do that. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to give, and I'm never going to receive anything in return. And almost immediately when I made the decision, no, I'm doing this because this is what God wants me to do, it was reciprocated. And I began to receive more love than I ever had from Ryan. So covenant instead of contract. And another book recommendation is Covenant Marriage, again by Gary Chapman. You can check it out on Amazon. It's a great book and it will help you understand more about the difference between covenant and contract. Okay, awesome. So let's move on. The fourth thing that I believe is a secret to a healthy marriage is be friends. Have fun with one another. What do friends do? They hang out, they laugh, and they support one another when they are down and sad, but they also celebrate when there's awesome stuff that happens. And that is what you should be with your spouse. You should be best friends. Another thing that best friends do is they share secrets. There's nothing about me that Ryan does not know. And there is something so treasured and builds intimacy, because I know that he knows my body from head to toe, every nook and cranny, and I don't feel ashamed, but I feel empowered because of that. He knows my past, he knows all my history, and he loves me anyway, and that's awesome. So I share all of my secrets with him. Another thing that best friends do is they don't keep secrets from each other. What does that look like? That means there should be nothing that you keep from your spouse. There should be no hidden passwords, no hidden emails, applications. You know what? In my opinion, I feel like your spouse needs to have their own face recognition on your phone, or a thumbprint, or their own code to your phone and to your email. Not because we don't trust one another, but because of the very opposite. Is because we have so much trust for one another that we know that there's nothing that we're going to hide. And the minute that begins to happen, then there needs to be some hard conversations that happen. Why do you feel like you need to hide from your spouse certain things? Why do you need to keep secrets from them? Because best friends don't do that. So be friends with your spouse. Another thing that best friends do is they go out, they go to the movie, they have dates with one another, and yeah, totally do romantic dates, but also take time to have a water balloon fight in the park, or maybe a Nerf gun war, or whatever, finger paint together, something silly, and keep the playfulness alive. And it doesn't have to be sexual, but it totally can be. But let it be fun. Be friends and experience life together and laugh together. Some of my favorite memories with Ryan are laughter and times where we've just been spontaneous and gone on a road trip or something, and we've built memories with one another that I would never ever trade for anything else, because he's my best friend in the whole world. So be friends, have fun with one another, so that you can have a healthy marriage. And last but certainly not least, the fifth thing that I believe is a secret to a healthy marriage is having lots and lots of sex. So here's the chance for all of you kids that don't want to hear about sex for you to stop the video. But for you married people, I want to encourage you to understand that having a healthy sex life is having a healthy marriage. No, it's not the only thing. That's why I chose to put it in last place. Some people would choose to use it as number one, and I definitely think that it's very important, but it's not the only thing to marriage. It just happens to be high priority, if you know what I'm saying. Make time for sex with one another. And you know, in the beginning, when you're first married, you can't keep your hands off each other, and that's awesome. And what's really cool about that is that guys have a sexual peak at around 25, like between 24 and 26. And, you know, there's 4 or 5 years in there where they're like, you know, I want to do this right now, and I want to do it every single day, which is totally fine, or 1,000 times a day. And you get to explore one another and have so much fun. But then you get to 34 for a woman, 36 for a woman, and that's when they meet their sexual peak. And you get to have so much fun just figuring that whole thing out, and just having a good time. So a couple things that I want to say about sex inside marriage. First of all, I just want to say that you cannot meet your own sexual needs. Yes, I recognize that there's such a thing as called masturbation, and you can have an orgasm all by yourself, but you cannot meet the emotional need that you have for sexual encounter and intimacy and closeness or oneness. You can't do that by yourself. You can only do that with a spouse, and only your spouse can touch you in places on the inside, and I mean like your spirit, your soul. They can only touch you in those places. You can't do that for yourself. So knowing that I need to be in partnership with my spouse to meet my sexual needs is actually beautiful. It means that that I need to have dependency on them in a way. I don't want to be codependent, and I don't want to lose who I am, but I want to be in beautiful partnership and have a bond with them that I can only have in a sexual encounter and a sex life. So something else that I want to mention about sex and the benefit of having healthy sex life in your marriage is that, you know, women are, we connect emotionally before we have sex. And that is through conversations or maybe actions through, you know, that your husband will do. And it creates this bond emotionally before you get naked. But then it begins the arousal process, and it gets you going on the inside, and then you become like, okay, I want to do this and I want to do it now. But it's the opposite for men. So it is this physical attraction. They're attracted to you. They want to see you naked, and they want to touch your body all over, which is awesome. But then the beautiful thing is that there is an emotional connection in the act of sex for men. And I would venture to say that is the most emotionally in touch with himself and with you that he will be at all, is in the act of sex, which is only between you and him. And that is a treasure. So those are benefits of having a healthy sex life. Another thing that I want to add is I believe that there are no holds bars when it comes to sex inside of marriage. What does that mean? That means if you want to try a new position or a new thing and you want to be adventurous, I say go for it, as long as you both agree. If you don't do it, because you cannot force your will on someone else. And it's important that you honor each other in the bedroom or wherever you're doing it. Honor each other so that you feel safe, and you feel, you feel like this is a safe place for me to be and to express myself. And the other thing that I want to say wholeheartedly, that it is sin to look at pornography, because you are introducing another person into the marriage bed. Whether you are watching pornography by yourself or you're watching it as a couple, I believe that it's wrong, because you're creating a lust that is spurred on by someone other than your spouse. As a matter of fact, it's someone else's spouse. When you are looking at someone else performing lewd acts and doing things that they shouldn't be doing on a screen, you are creating a place of lust in your heart that is unhealthy, and that should only come from your husband or your wife. And I really also believe that you don't introduce anyone into your bedroom in the flesh as well. So as long as you're not virtually or physically entering anyone into your bedroom, I say go for it, as long as you agree. All right, well, I feel like that's all I got to say today about secrets to a healthy marriage. Make sure you communicate often, clearly, and often. Make sure that you figure out how your spouse receives love. Then I want you to recognize it's not about you. It's a servanthood situation. And fourthly, be friends, have fun. And fifth, have sex and lots of it. I really hope that you were encouraged by the content of today's video, learning secrets about a healthy marriage. And I would love to hear from you. What do you suggest? What are some things that you have learned for your marriage that has helped things keep strong and keep fierce? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Okay, thanks family. I'll see you again in my next video.